Welcome to a special Thursday edition of 805 Sports Talk. Now, we do love talking football, baseball, basketball, soccer, but today we're going to dedicate some time to the rodeo. Yes, the Elks held a press conference on Wednesday. They are planning their 75th anniversary Elks Rodeo and Parade, which starts May 31st. We got a couple months until then, but the Elks are busy planning everything ahead of time. It's a special Denim and Diamonds edition of the rodeo, and that theme is going to, carry on throughout the week. They are really, rolling up their sleeves and getting ready for this rodeo, and the diamond part is going to be a big deal with this one. They're going to have diamond-themed events, a lot of denim, obviously, but some of the new events are going to be a lot of fun as well. They're doing a diamond dig, where you can find an engagement ring, which sounds like a lot of fun. Of course, the Queen contest is going to be a big deal. The parade is going to be great, and they kind of went over everything on Wednesday, what they got in store for us, later this year. Once the parade comes around, the rodeo comes around, it's going to be a lot of fun. And Jonna Clark, the official rodeo spokeswoman, kind of filled us in on what their mission is and what their plans are for their 75th rodeo.
I'm really excited to say when we spoke, I got a call the other day from a rodeo in Texas that took the regular Wednesday program that we started with you guys, Jay, and they're now implementing it in their grocery stores back east. So there's a footprint of what Santa Maria does all across the nation right now. And so we are being talked about as far as a city, which is kind of cool, in all these little and big places. We've got big rodeos calling us and little rodeos calling us, and at the end of the day, they're all going, what in the world is Santa Maria doing? And we tell them we have the most awesome team. That's what we're doing.
The Elks Rodeo is always big, but this one seems a little bit more special.
Absolutely. For the Santa Maria Elks Rodeo to be celebrating their 75th anniversary, it truly is special. Not only is it 75 years, but in the last 5 years, the community has really drawn together and made Santa Maria Elks Rodeo one of the premier rodeos in the nation. And so coming off 5 years of record-breaking attendance and success, 75 years is really a culmination of everything that makes this community and rodeo great.
Our team thank both of you enough because you really pulled out all the stops. We met with you guys once a month. We had our city meetings. It was amazing. We'd be like, we had plan A, we had plan B, we had plan C, and we even had plan D in some cases to how we were going to pull all of this off. But it was completely a citywide collaboration. And without you guys, thank you. And Alice did an amazing job on her interview. I don't know if y'all saw it on CBS Sports, but pretty proud to have.
Politicians talk.
Well, you did a great job. So on behalf of all of us, thank you to the city.
Well, Tina, when you first called, I thought this is so exciting because my grandkids, all four of them rodeo. My kids rodeoed in high school and college. So I thought this is great, and to have the challenge here was really exciting. Then they asked me to go on the wine tour on our trolley, and I had to do that also. Someone had to do it, right? But this is so exciting for Santa Maria. But the Elks have always been there for our youth, and that's what they do. And so we've been proud of them for years, and so I wasn't surprised that they could pull it off.
We were really blessed. Phil Harwick, our rodeo president, who has just recently passed, he had a great vision for what he wanted this rodeo. One, to rebuild the rodeo itself, but two, that this rodeo should really just be a vehicle to give back to the community. And the problem is 5 years ago, we knew we didn't have enough rodeo fans on the Central Coast to fill our stands. So we really had to go out and create rodeo fans. We had to go out and create people that wouldn't give rodeo a second look, and so we have really tried hard to be innovative and be very creative. And now it's not about whether you're a rodeo fan or not, whether you're a cowboy or not. It's like, are you part of this community? Because there truly is something for everyone, and it really is the best family entertainment value, because that is what this community is built on, our families and traditions.
So moving away from rodeo and over to the football field, Lavon Coleman, a well-known name around here, started at Lompoc High, had a good career over there at Washington, but his college days are now behind him, and he's focused on something new. Lorenzo, you had a chance to catch up with Lavon last week. What's going on with him?
Yeah, so he is already a college graduate with an Anthropology degree, but he is preparing for the NFL draft. I mean, he's already cited that he plans on doing Washington's Pro Day, which I believe is in April. And one thing that I found interesting in my conversation with Lavon, he has a sight set, and he's hoping that he plays for the Houston Texans. he cites Deshaun Watson as one of the reasons why. You also got DeAndre Hopkins over there, but looking at Houston's offense, I mean, I would definitely envision Lavon being an ideal fit for that system, and you have that dual threat quarterback already in place as long as he's healthy. So, I mean, maybe he goes to Houston, Texas. Maybe he might end up with the Raiders like a certain former Lompoc Brave ended up at. So, it's definitely something that I'll keep an eye on. But I've looked at a lot of NFL draft sites like WalterFootball.com. There was also USA Today's draft evaluation site. They list Lavon Coleman as the number 22nd running back available come draft day.
Yeah, and his future I think is really interesting to look at because the running back position is so hard to gauge. You see a lot of undrafted guys making impact there. Just look at the Super Bowl. I'm sure guys like Deion Lewis who never really were drafted that high. They always have a chance to kind of make it. LeGarrette Blount, he's had an up and down career, up and down college career obviously, and he's had a successful NFL career. So I think the running back position is kind of one of those hard positions to find out what they're going to do at the next level. So I could see Lavon kind of maybe not get drafted and make a roster somehow as an undrafted free agent. You see a lot of that with running backs. What do you see for him?
I honestly, you mentioned how it's hard to get a gauge of running backs. Well, here's the big reason why. We're in the era of spread offenses. It's become a lot easier for NFL GMs and owners and even coaches to evaluate a quarterback or evaluate a wide receiver. And because of that, it's become harder to evaluate a running back because guys like Lavon Coleman, they were very seldom used. Whereas a guy like Saquon Barkley, he was efficiently used because Penn State still believes in the running game. So there's that aspect of it.
Yeah, and I could see him making a roster again with the experience that he has. He was there at Washington for 5 years. He's a good blocker. He's caught a few passes out of the backfield. Good goal line back, perhaps. He's got the size. He's probably going to be one of the bigger running backs in this draft class. He's a full, I'm sure, over 220 pounds, about 6 foot. He was a power back at Lompoc. So, those power backs are kind of rare nowadays. So I think he make an impact.
Sorry, I think he has an advantage that the running game is starting to make a bit of a comeback in the NFL now. Defenses have started to catch up more with the spread offenses, and NFL teams are starting to figure out that most NFL teams, I think, figured they'd better have some sort of consistent running attack, and they figured they can't do it by throwing 40, 50 times a game anymore.
Running game still matters, and I'll give you this scouting report on Lavon Coleman. He is a very coachable player. I mean, most guys who get very rarely used at the college level, some of them will seek out a transfer. And another thing to keep in mind, Coleman saw a coaching change. I mean, he was originally recruited by Steve Sarkisian before he left for USC. Chris Peterson, though, still finds ways to use him. And the thing about Peterson is that he is a believer in the running game. So, not once did you hear Coleman gripe about the coaching, gripe about, splitting time with Myles Gaskin. So, I mean, that should be a good omen for whichever NFL team starts taking a look at him.
And even if he doesn't make an NFL roster, he's got that anthropology degree to fall back on. That's always what we like to see as well, someone going to college from the area and getting their degree and having a successful career over there at Washington, over 2,000 rushing yards, over 4 seasons of action over there. So that's cool. I think he did everything he could have over there at Washington, getting his degree, making an impact on the football field. That's not easy to do in the Pac-12 coming from this area. So, we're all proud of what Lavon did, and it was cool. He was back at home last week watching his younger brother Leandre play some basketball, and Leandre, I'm sure, is going to follow in his footsteps. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see what Lavon's got in store and what Leandre has ahead of him as well.
And one of the things Lavon told me is that with his degree, it sets the bar for his younger siblings, knowing what they truly need to go for in life. I mean, obviously with Leandre, I mean, it's only a matter of time before he starts surfacing on the college radar, but there's that anthropology degree that now hangs in the Coleman household. So that's that reminder that, this is what you really need to go for.
All right, so Lavon's focused on next season, but we're still focused on this NFL season. There's one more game left. We're done with the Pro Bowl, the championship games, divisional playoffs, wild card, all that stuff. So we got the Super Bowl on Sunday between the Eagles and the Patriots. So, I'm going to just go with my pick. I'm picking a big win for the Eagles, 35-6. I think the Patriots are due for a bad game. I know it's absolutely unlikely that happens. But it would be cool to see just the Patriots get blown out. I mean, their luck has to run out at some point. It's just too ridiculous that they've been this successful this many times. So, and I mean, the Eagles have been just so unlucky in the postseason and the Super Bowl without a title. So hopefully that ends dominant fashion with a big, nearly a 30-point win for the Eagles. That's what I'm going with. Kenny, you're also going with the Eagles as well.
I'm going with the upset as well. I think Foles is riding a good wave. I'm going 24-20 Philadelphia. I think they learned something about how not to do it as far as game management by watching Atlanta fold. And I guess I shouldn't say fold because football's a rough game. I guess it really is listed as a fold. But let's face it, New England did everything it had to do. But Atlanta, with its choices at times, gave them some help. So I'm going to go with the upset, saying Philadelphia will have just enough.
Lorenzo?
I'm picking Justin Timberlake. He's going to steal this show. I mean, no, I'm playing. I mean, I have a hard time going against the Patriots. And that said, I'm going to be the only one in here, I mean, outside of Elliott Stern, who's going to pick the Patriots to win. And here's the kicker to me. All this talk about Tom Brady, I feel like that people should spend more time talking about the offensive line of the Patriots because they really adjusted against the Jaguars. And it helped allow Brady to make that fourth quarter comeback, especially against Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta brought heat on Brady early, but then they adjusted with the blocking up front. So I'm going to be glued to see how many touches Chris Long can get to Tom Brady and if he knocks Brady unconscious. But, I mean, if New England wins the trench battle, the advantage immediately goes Tom Brady's way.
I think Brady has maybe the easiest job of any quarterback in the league. That team is so well coached. They always have these pieces that kind of emerge and develop. The player development is just crazy. Danny Amendola has turned into a reliable target. You know, Julian Edelman, who's been injured, he's kind of come out of nowhere and turned into a reliable target. So it just seems something within the Patriots and what they do over there with Bill Belichick is just a well-oiled machine. Brady just got to sit back there and make throws. Doesn't have a lot of pressure to face. The offensive line, like you mentioned, has just always been rock solid. The receivers run these routes, and of course you got Gronkowski over the top to just lay that ball into. So I think Brady, he gets a lot of credit. Obviously, he's a great quarterback. I don't think he's the greatest of all time. He's in a great place, you know, to have that continuity, that program that Bill Belichick's kind of instilled. And I think, you know, he gets a little too much credit for my life.
There is one thing I should bring up. I mean, we talked about this last week, but there's one thing that I probably should have brought up last week that I definitely will bring up for this show. The last time an NFC team wore green, they won the Super Bowl, the Green Bay Packers. Guess who's wearing green?
Go Eagles. Yeah. I think the single, well, of course there will be a lot of big factors as there are in the Super Bowl game, but I think the biggest single one will be the Philadelphia pass rush. Mm-hmm. They have to at least get Brady to hurry a lot. If it's close in the last 2 minutes and Brady can step into his throws, I think the Eagles are done. I think it would be another New England.
But with Gronkowski more than likely playing, I mean, that to me also shifts the momentum over to New England, especially in the short passing game. Because, again, I said it last week, one of the biggest counterattacks with an aggressive defensive line is quick slants.
Yep, so it should be a good matchup, and you kind of got to feel sorry for Carson Wentz, his second year in the NFL, and he's injured. His team makes the Super Bowl. You don't know if you're ever going to get back there, so that's got to be tough for him. So next week we'll break down what happened in the Super Bowl, and we'll obviously have some great local coverage for you guys as well. Thank you guys for tuning in to 805 Sports Talk.
And we could put on the mask.